Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channels. Here are the headlines. Djibouti initiate a new energy deal for the regions. On continental news, the United States withdraw from a nuclear arms treaty with Russia. That were our headlines. Welcome. It's under the aegis of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, that this morning opening at the People's Palace the regional conference on the development of renewable energies organized by the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources. This first of its kind conference will last until 23 October. This conference aims to explore the latest innovations designed in the area and proposed to the state and the republics. These innovations concern the various sectors by the solar, wind, hydroelectric, or geothermal. On his arrival at the People's Palace, the head of state, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, was welcomed by the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, and the Minister of Energy, Mr. Yunus Ali Gaidi. The President visited the various stands or products like solar panels and other were on display. Experts on the issues of financing and implementation of this project for the future participate in this conference, supported by the International Solar Alliance, an organization promoted by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Mr. Emmanuel Macron following the Paris Agreement on climate change. This conference brought together several members of the government of neighboring countries, experts in the world of renewable energies. The Republic of Djibouti has initiated this conference and intends to develop renewable energies called green, less polluting, which will also contribute to accelerate the processes of development for both our country and all other countries in the region are interested in it. In addition to the members of the government, this conference brought together ministerial delegations, energy advisors, and experts to exchange experiences and stimulate synergies between recognized experts and the different players and the energy sectors. Policies establish financial partnership and increase investment. In this respect, the energy transitions and renewable energies will play a key role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and thus limiting global warming.
walka laga qaado dalka iyo degmada geeska duulahan la gaarsiiyo waa mashruuciyo dooro duuliyo ku baxay maalo la dul saaray muruqana عديو دبيشي جترميغا دغلكينا دينغو منايستي واسدورينا يو دغانكاي بنديسا نخريانا رنتي ما هي ودق إلهي نخريانا رنتي ما هي ودق إلهي عديو دبيشي جترميغا دغلكينا دينغو منايستي واسدورينا يو دغانكاي بنديسا نخريانا رنتي ما هي ودق إلهي نخريانا رنتي ما هي ودق إلهي عتمر دبيعي دردوران دماني مركن ديبات كسو سارنو سابني ما كدور ويه ديحنا وقور ويه سابني ما كدور ويه ديحنا وقور ويه waa tamar dabeeciya durduran dhammaanayn markan dibad u soo saarno sabalnimo ka durug weeye dayaxana u guur weeye sabalnimo ka durug weeye dayaxana u guur weeye
Heliyalo hobo heliyalo wa heliyalo heliyalo
dar alle wax qabadkeena danta waa si loo gaaro tamarta dabiiciga dar alle wax qabadkeena danta waa si loo gaaro tamarta dabiiciga dadku inuu ka haqabeelo
heliyalo hobo heliyalo wa heliyalo heliyalo
dar alle wax qabadkeena danta waa si loo gaaro tamarta dabiiciga dar alle wax qabadkeena danta waa si loo gaaro tamarta dabiiciga dadku inuu ka haqabeelo
The director of International Solar Alliance indicated that the three basic ideas led to the creation of this organization is a crucial body of the implementation of the Paris Agreement. Its ambition is to urgently implement a global energy. For more to know about those criteria, let's follow the speech of this expert.
In fact, the video starts with the 11th March Solar Summit. And ISA is a unique organization for three organizations. First, because the International Solar Alliance is a crucial body for the implementation of the Paris Agreement. If we like to keep the global mean temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, because global warming is going to affect more to the poor than perhaps to the rich. And to keep it below 2 degrees Celsius, we need a lot of solar all over the globe, and ISA has the potential to drive solutions for climate mitigation as well as meeting the critical energy needs for the poor. And ISA talks about the $1,000 billion investment in the solar sector. It is not only for the, it talks about this investment across countries. In fact, the countries, the small island countries, the least developed countries need the investment more.
Minister of Energy Mr. Younis Ali Gedi recalled that the Polaus power stations has been operating with heavy fuel oil turbines, but also uses hydroelectric power from neighboring Ethiopia to meet the country's energy needs. According to the minister, for several years the government has sought to develop other alternatives, including the use of renewable energies, including geothermal energy, solar or wind energy. He added that the Prime Minister Narendra and French President selected for this year's Champions of Earth Award, the highest environmental award of the United Nations, for their pioneering work in promoting human rights, International Solar Alliance, and the promotions of new areas cooperation in environmental action. Third, because it's a member-driven and action-driven organization, the International Solar Alliance is a privileged place to act global for and resource, attract more funds, prepare new projects, and build capacity. For the President of the Republic, Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, energy at a lower cost is essential for the economics of a modern country that wants to develop quickly and rely on the industrial sector. For more, let's listen to the speech of the President.
Honorables invités,
Ladies and gentlemen, today the Republic of Djibouti is hosting its first regional conference on renewable energy. In this illustrious occasion, I would like to all of those who come from far to honor us to participate. Welcome to Djibouti. Climate change and these effects are no longer speculations, but a reality that faces many parts of the world, and in particular this part of the world, and in particular ours. Extreme meteorological events have proliferated around the world. Unstable temperature, dryness, cyclones, melting ices, and acidifications of the oceans are all significant events into the regulations of the climate change. The latest report of the GISE, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has already confirmed these observations whose causes are attributable to human activity. With an increase of 1 point of temperature since the pre-industrial era, it is therefore urgent to make a paradigm shift that involves a redesign of our productions and consumptions model. As an example, I cannot remind you that buildings are dependent on 32% of global energy consumption. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that it is our people who are primarily threatened by this phenomenon.
The second part of his speech, the head of state intends to develop, say that Djibouti intends to develop all its potentialities to meet its energy needs. The President say in the second part of his speech. Let's follow.
face à ces défis alarmants.
Facing these alarming challenges on the climate change catastrophic effect, the Republic of Djibouti has set ambitious target for energy production from 100% renewable sources. These aim to contribute to global temperature, which seems to be up to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Ladies and gentlemen, the forecast of growth in energy demand in our region are important. In the region, the opportunities offered by us are up to the challenges we face. It is up to us to transform these potentialities to enable the sustainable development of our countries. To do so, we must take advantage of the many financing and adaptation mechanisms at our disposal, especially the Green Fund for the Climate, for which we must not only let hear our positions and our plan, but also at the national level. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, this conference is the opportunity to exchange on our experiences in the field of renewable energies and to capitalize on one of the most vulnerable climate risks. I encourage neighbor countries in the region to be more effective concerning the climate change. I wish you a fruitful discussion.
The Russian ministers delivered a message from Russian President Vladimir Putin to President Guelleh on the strengthening of cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and the Russian Federation, a large country whose role is important in the major political, economic, and social issues and its preservations of world peace. It was introduced to the President by the Djiboutian Foreign Minister of Affairs, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. The Russian delegation was strong with the several officials, including the chief executive of the Russian bank, Gazprom Bank, and senior officials, Mr. Bogdanov, several ambassadors of Russia in the Arab countries, and also the special representative of the President of the Russian Federation and for the Middle East and Africa. After the message was delivered, the discussions between President Guelleh and the Russian Russian delegation focused on ways and means to strengthen cooperation between the two countries. Djibouti's ambassador to Russia, Dr. Kamil Mohammed, and the Russian ambassador took part in the meeting. The Russian foreign vice supervised the relations of the Russian Federation with the country of Africa and the Middle East, and also other institutions including the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and other Muslim organizations. It's also responsible for cooperation with Russian Muslim organizations as well as monitoring to peace process in the Middle East. At the end of meeting with the president, the Russian vice minister returned to the main discussion they had with the president of the republic. He stressed that the strengthening of cooperations between the Republic of Djibouti and the Russian Federation were the main subject which is discussed with the president, whose role is important in the region in the major political, economic, and social issues of and the preservations of world peace. For his part, the Djibouti Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, stressed that the message of President Putin to President Gili is a strong symbol of interest to the Republic of Djibouti. Russia is a great country with an international voice and multifaceted cooperation in many fields. We are going to encourage ourselves in economic cooperation, more especially because of the presence in the Russian delegations of the managing director of the Gazprom Bank, which has invested a lot in Africa, especially in Middle East. In this context with the media, Mr. Mahmoud also spoke of the privileged nature of our relation with the Russian Federation, which in passing held the stabilizing and positive role on the international scene. He concluded. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, sent a message of condolence yesterday to his Sudanese counterpart, Mr. Omar Hassan Ahmed al-Bashir, whose country deplored the death of last Thursday of one of his most illustrious public figures. In this case, former Sudanese President Abdurrahman Suwar al-Dahab. In his message, the President of the Republic expressed his compassion and solidarity to Mr. Omar Hassan Ahmed al-Bashir and asked that his saddened condolence be extended to the family, to the relatives and friends of the late former head of state, and to the whole people, brothers and friends Sudanese. The people and the government of Djibouti naturally join me in expressing their sympathy with the sadness with the Sudanese sister national in the trial of disappearance of former President Suwar al-Dahab, wrote His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. He will long be remembered by his compatriots for his exceptional intellectual and major rigor, which has always led him to place the superior interests of his country above any other's objective, say the head of state's Djiboutians, before imploring Almighty God to welcome the late Sudanese statesman into his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The Presidential Committee of National Assembly held its meeting this morning. The National Assembly Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed and Defense Minister in charge of relations with Parliament Ali Hassan Bahdoun and acting Speaker of the Assembly Al-Mu'absi Wais, but also Ali, Chairman of Commission, attend the meeting. After deliberations, the committee said the days of tomorrow, 22 October, for holding of the meeting of the plenary meeting. Several projects will be on the agenda for adoptions. And now let's move On international scene, Donald Trump confirmed Saturday that the United States will withdraw from a nuclear weapons treaty with Russia during the Cold War, accusing Moscow of violations for many years. A treaty concluded by Reagan and Gorbachev, Russia has not respected the treaty. So we will end the agreement and develop these weapons, said the U.S. President, referring to the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty on Intermediate Range Nuclear Weapons signed in 1987 by U.S. and Soviet President Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev. Missiles that go beyond the scope of the treaty. This treaty, by abolishing the use of whole series of missiles ranging in scope for 500 to 40,000 kilometers, have put an end to crisis tragedy. For others, rank which is violations of UNF treaty. In a statement sent Saturday, the APDH made several recommendations after observing all the electoral operations, including the reform without delay of the independent electoral commissions. Beyond the CIS, the declaration signed by the Natin Traore, the General Secretary, recommends, among other things, the need to reform all the institutions involved in the election, that prosecute the perpetrators of the violence, that prosecute former warlords involved in the electoral process, and to dismiss and prosecute the local officials involved. Here we end the news today. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.